Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. For those of you that are new, my name is Jordan Chanel. Thanks for tuning in. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about a very urgent matter that is happening right here in my hometown, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. When I first started this news segment on my channel, I stressed the importance of being able to give deserving attention to news stories that matter, and this story is something that everyone needs to know about and needs to be shared. In today's video, I'd like to talk about a very devoted and strong mother named Danielle Brown. Now, Miss Brown is not from Pittsburgh. What actually led her to our city, the situation itself, has to do with her son, Marquise Jalen Brown. Miss Brown referred to her son as Jalen. He was a student athlete at Duquesne University. One day after his 21st birthday, October 4th, 2018, he fell 16 stories from his dorm room in Broaders Hall. The police alleged that they were called to Jalen's room by his roommate because Jalen was acting erratically, strange behavior, and he didn't know what to do.
My son was in the sanctuary of his college dorm room. So he left a situation that put him in danger. He was in an apartment with some other athletes. One of them, his really close friend, best friend from home, from DeMatha High School, best friend. And his best friend outwardly stated that Jalen took 2 puffs from what he was smoking, which was marijuana.
Miss Brown was never able to settle with the narrative she was given regarding her son's death, and she deserves to know what happened to Jalen.
Now, as a mom who have former law enforcement, as a mom, background in criminal justice, whose mom who has a master's in counseling and psychology, I know as a mom who grew up in the city streets, I know drugs. I've been well educated in drugs. I've taken courses in street drugs. So we know 2 puffs of marijuana don't cause my son to trip. But he went back to his sanctuary, his home away from home, his safe place. So he did not lose his life at that apartment. But what happened in that apartment plays a huge role in what transpired to a series of unfortunate situations. But trust and believe, the ownership of keeping my son safe was on Duquesne. The minute they came in contact with them, my son was up and down the hallway, tossing things around. He was not out the window, which brings me to a national problem. Why is it our boys, our men, even some daughters, our black boys come in contact with police officers, and somehow that interaction causes so many of them to lose their life? We have a pandemic that's going on even in that situation.
As I'm speaking to you all now, Miss Brown has spent the past 83 days in a hunger strike. Her hunger strike is fueled by the lack of answers she's received regarding her own son's death.
My son was in the safety of his room. My son should still be with us today. There were 4 people in that room. 3 of them in law enforcement positions, whether a security guard or campus police officers. They had weapons, whether they had guns and batons, no gun, and both, which all 3 of them did. And then 1 RA. there's a level of responsibility when it comes to crisis intervention that they did not take, because they left him vulnerable in that situation, in their presence. So it's always been either you watch my son go out that window, or your hands were on my son before he went out that window. And this mother hunger strike is to simply know the truth.
Ms. Brown created 3 demands that she's requiring Duquesne University to meet. Her first would be the ability to perform an independent investigation with full access and no stipulations to all information, resources, and documents pertaining to her son's case.
Someone outside of Duquesne had access to the very things I'm asking for. Person can reciprocity and share the information, because it's an independent investigation of like-minded investigators, well-trained investigators. So the question I propose is, well, let me sign what they signed. Duquesne's yet to produce what they signed. But I don't think they signed a court-generated from Allegheny Courthouse NDA. So there's a problem there. So the protection of the faculty and the students, I'm saying, what protection did they give them with the independent investigation? And what information, other than asking questions of what happened to my son, that I'm seeking? I don't need their social security numbers. I don't even need their picture. I need to have a conversation. But we're wondering, what did you do, or what happened to my child? And have a right to get access to information a lot sooner than 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, sometimes Ramir Talley case, Tasha, his mom, 8 months. That's unacceptable. And so we're saying independent investigation is something that should be embraced and supported, not only by schools and these college campuses when incidents happen on their campus, but in your general policing period. Mothers should be able to do independent investigation and find out what happened to their child, or at the very least, be a spokesperson for their child's narrative.
Her second demand is that all university police be required to wear the body cameras. Ms. Brown's last demand is that the campus provide mandatory certification training in mental health, crisis intervention, and de-escalation for both police and the first responders there.
We do need to revisit policing, campus policing, and the person who knows how to deal with people in a crisis situation. And if I had 3 other soldiers with me together, we should have been even much more effective if they're too equally trained. The first thing we would have noticed was keep the subject safe. You get them away from the door. You get them away from the kitchen where there's knives. And by God, you get them away from the windows. Because you don't know what type of crisis situation you're dealing with.
I don't see how any of the demands that Ms. Brown presented to the school are unreasonable at all. So I really had to ask you, Duquesne, what's really the issue? Why does it take a mother starving herself, camping outside of your school day after day, to be able to be provided the same access to a fair investigation that you gave your attorneys? Ms. Brown wants to be able to complete a full investigation, the same type that your attorneys do. Ms. Brown wants. How is that not fair? I remember when I first went away to go to school and just how nervous and excited I was about starting this new journey. And it doesn't matter, honestly, if you're just going an hour away or 10 hours away. That first initial feeling of leaving home for the first time is relatable to any college student and any parent having to say goodbye to their child, leaving them in the hands of a new place, new people, and hoping and praying that they'll be safe and succeed.
Because see, if I allowed myself to think I was good enough, best private schools, $30,000, $40,000 a year, my children were educated in. I got one son that's equestrian, accomplished equestrian, rides horses. That's unheard of in the black community. The other child played football and was good at it. Could have gone to the NFL if he chose to this. When I think back on how I raised them, if I allowed myself to think that it was good enough, then I would be bitter. Because then I would have said I was perfect or I did everything right. But that does not still keep your child here with you. That's no carte blanche.
People spend thousands and thousands of dollars to send their children to school, but I think universities are forgetting that these students are people as well. They're not just another number that you can add to your enrollment list to impress for this year. The situation is not something that can just be wrapped up, moved past in preparation for the next dollar amount to be assigned in his room. When I first saw that Miss Brown had come to Pittsburgh, I honestly had no idea that she would still be on this hunger strike. I did not think it would go this far at all. I did not see a Catholic university founded on spirit and principles letting a woman whose son passed away at their school starve herself. Instead, the university wants to gaslight the situation, blame the victim, hide behind the idea of not wanting to pressure and further traumatize students and staff members from that incident 2 years ago.
I don't see where student IDs and identifiers come into play. All I see is talking to these individuals might put you again at danger for liability and risk management. So you always, they say, follow the money trail. What is the real reason? But their independent investigation was conducted by their attorneys. So that's another problem. How independent was their investigation?
If your own investigation team with your attorneys were able, why can't Miss Brown do the same thing for her son? Right away, I wanted to commend Miss Brown on the strength and just grace she's had throughout this whole situation. It's really the most inspiring thing about her to me.
But as much as I'm tired, I'm strong, if that makes sense. I'm determined. I have the willpower. And whatever many days I need to see until I feel like enough people have heard and know why this movement is happening, until the college students are safe, until the mothers who tears I hear crying because they're saying, what happened to my child? I'm not the only one. That's why you hear me say for the mothers when the camera's not rolling. Because there's a whole lot of us mothers out here that's not making the sensational news.
When talking with Miss Brown, I made sure that she let me know more about her son. I wanted to hear from her own words, who was Jalen? What was he like?
Jalen was a very loving young man, very intentional, very wise, very slow and methodical. When he was young, we used to say, man, your wisdom, as if you've been here before. And sometimes now I even think about that. And I was saying to myself, that spirit is an ancestor that's been here before. And for this purpose, we never know why God gives us the blessings that he gives us. And in my situation, maybe my purpose is this, to continue to plant seeds in this earth, to save other people's children, and to bring attention in this whole pandemic, I didn't wake up asking for this. But the movement called me, and I answered. When I took my rocking chair from Washington, D.C., and I went to Freedom Corner and sat 2 days outside in the elements, and I prayed, and I tried to understand my why. And in understanding my why, I had to reconcile with the fact that my son is not coming back. I had to reconcile with what I was willing to do with my own body, using it as a sacrifice to bring awareness to the fact that no mother should be tortured by not knowing what happened to their child. No mother. So I sat there for 2 days. I didn't need the cameras. I didn't need to anybody else. I just needed to have this conversation with God. I just needed this conversation with God. I needed his blessings. I needed his protection. And I needed to know that Jalen know that his mommy will do exactly what his life was meant. And that was he came for a reason and a purpose. And I will walk it out. And his death will not be in vain. It will save life. And people will know his name. No, he wasn't shot by a gun. But he died at the hands of police officers. And for that, yeah, we got a problem.
I strongly believe that Jalen's race does play a factor on why Ms. Brown is still having the difficulty that she is on having her demands met. Duquesne University even blew the race card into effect when they advised on how things were done in protocol manner because the African American cops that were in that room.
Matter if they're black, white, or tangerine. So we're not talking racial issues when we talk about police officers responding aggressively, even in a traffic stop. If the person moves, they could get killed. Or the police is all on them, choking them, as we saw in the George Floyd case. So I'm asking, what type of passiveness happened in that room with 4 people? That my son could get up and go through too many steps it takes to get to a chair, pick up a chair, get the force required to knock that window out, put the chair back down, and to go out the window. Now, you heard several stories if you followed it closely from the beginning. From the beginning, he did these things and they did not touch him. From the beginning, he jumped. Then, moving along, you find out, oh, but he was touched because someone tried to save him by grabbing him. Then you hear he died. So, we got too many variations of the story coming from the same camp. This mother needs an independent investigation because I need to know why. And I will stand to my last breath to make sure that this doesn't happen to another college student at the collegiate level. Same problem. Well, now you got this mother fighting at the collegiate level. No, I'm not Mother Teresa, but I'm Mother Danny, and they came for the wrong one.
Below, I'll be having Ms. Brown's social media as well as contact information for the school. Call, write, email, show up, do what you can to support. Ms. Brown's at Freedom Corner talking to whoever will listen, protesting what's going on. I understand if you can't though. You may have school, you may have work during the time of the day when she's there. But even getting in touch with the school, letting them know how unacceptable this is doing your part that we all need to do. We cannot let this woman starve while fighting for answers. I appreciate you all watching this video, and I hope you do help and support Ms. Brown in any way that you can. Please remember to check the description box below to find the information on ways you can support. My name is Jordan Chanel. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is the world we live in.